Bye.
Hello and happy Monday, everyone. Happy Monday. Thank you so very much for tuning in to 98.3 FM, The Life. You're listening to Bacon Bits with Master Happiness. And of course, I'm your host, Marty Jalove. And I come at you every single Monday night at 7 o'clock to talk about your job, your career, your vision made clear, the skills that you hone for the business that you own, the ups and downs, the smiles and frowns, where you're at and where you're bound. And if you miss any of this episode or any of the Bacon Bits episodes, you can always listen to the recording on Bacon Bits with Master Happiness, anywhere you listen to podcasts. As you know, every Monday, I'm on a quest to bring you the industry best. And today I have a returning special guest, one of my good friends, Joe Janicki. Of course, the computer called you Janicki, so we'll just answer to whatever it is. So it's Joe Janicki from Brightway Insurance. And we are going to be talking on part 5 of the customer experience. Joe is an expert on this. And so say hi to the world, Joe.
Marty Jalove, thanks for having me.
Jalove,
yeah.
Jalove.
It's however Siri pronounces it is what we go
That's
with, right?
Now
So,
we're going with Jalove.
It's like a late night radio show.
This is Marty Jalove.
That's right.
Coming at you with
yeah.
It's time to
the B side.
That's it.
Thanks for having me back, Marty. Excited to get into this. We got only 2 more.
Yeah, this is part 5. We've been covering a lot of stuff. I was listening to some of the previous episodes, Joe, and I was like, there's a lot of redundancy we're saying, but I think it's important for people, if they listen to it, the stuff that we're repeating over and over is the heart of it. It's the important thing. And so today we're going to be talking about your team, the employees.
Yep.
And I think this is really important. This is more of a action steps of what you can be doing, what you should be doing to make the whole thing work. And then next month we're going to be doing the wrap up. So this will be fun. Hopefully you'll put something to music or something. Make it all work, right?
Absolutely. Let's do it. I'm excited.
Right. So Joe, one of the things I started last week.
Oh, this is good.
Yeah, exactly.
This is good. Yeah, I can't wait.
Exactly. I
don't know.
I want to do this whole thing, and I want to start off the show, make the show kind of interesting, a little lighthearted. Is this idea of I'm going to ask you a random question. I just want you to think about this. So it kind of it just makes you question this whole idea. So I'm going to pick pick a number from 1 to 15, Joe.
54.
54. Perfect. So if you were a customer service superhero, what would your superpower be?
Listening.
Bam. Wow, that was so quick. You're going to expand on it or just listening?
Nope, that's it.
So why listening, Joe?
Because I think listening is one of the most underutilized skill that somebody can use when they're servicing their clients. I think, and we've mentioned this, you go back in the other, 4 episodes, you'll hear that one piece repeating over and over again, is that I can't know what problem I'm solving or what my client wants or what they need if I'm not listening to them.
I agree.
If I'm just talk, I'm not hearing what's important to them.
Yeah. So, Joe, it's one of those things that people are like, oh, I'm a good listener. I'm listening to them. I'm listening to the person. But what they do is they're constantly creating their answer to a question that hasn't been asked yet, right? And we're thinking about, what's my response? Hey, I just asked them a question. They're talking. Let me think about my next question. What's going to go on? And we never really pay attention. So what are some of the ways that you have helped people then in the past to just become better listeners? What would you say?
So I spent a lot of time in the car business, and things like this used to come up, and we'd talk about, somebody would come in and what features do you show them on a vehicle?
Okay.
Well, like, how do I know what's important to them? Well, if I know somebody has children, right, then I know that safety features might be something that we want to talk about.
Right.
But if I have no idea and this young couple comes in and I start talking about performance and how fast it is and all, like, I'm missing the point because I have no idea what they truly care about, so I think, that's one of the things that I look back on and as one of those skills that truly figuring out, asking questions, listening to listen,
right.
To find out what direction you want to go in to talk to the clients about or to serve them, right? What do they need? What do they want to hear?
Yeah.
So that's the one thing I think about all the time is that, why am I going to present something to them that I think is important?
Yeah, that they don't need.
They don't even care about.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. So I like the fact you mentioned something, and I think it takes listening to a different level. And that is, listening is not just the words that they say. It's the way that they act. It's the way that they're dressed, the way that they look. Like you said, they walk in with children. You're listening by looking at them. You're
Yes.
seeing this whole thing. You're understanding. So children are important and they have kids. So the car I'm going to sell them has to have some, be able to occupy the kids,
Yeah.
or, right? And so it's really important to pay attention to everything there, but mostly just when you ask a question, pay attention to the answer. I think that's the thing.
And we talked about on the way in, be present in the moment.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I think so many times we are so distracted in our society, and we spend so much time with our phone in front of our face, or we spend so much time, with our mind somewhere else. And even in the conversation you mentioned, just listening to respond. How often do we just stop and put ourselves in the moment, be present, listen, pay attention, listen to learn.
Right.
And we talked about another show we had with other group of people on another topic.
Yeah.
But like, how often are we there to actually listen to learn and not listen to respond? But just being present in the moment and being a part of that conversation is going to take you so much further than like, how am I going to answer this next question? What am I going to do next? Right. And we're so busy all the time.
Yeah.
Just stop.
Right. So along with that, one of the things is interesting when I do sales training for companies, one of the things I tell them is when you're asking a person a question, if you're not listening, then why have you just asked them the question? I mean, you're asking a question not to kill time. You're asking a question to gather some information. And the best thing that you can do after asking that is pause for a second, show the customer you're taking this in, you're thinking about it. It doesn't hurt to repeat it, ask to make, clarify it.
Yeah.
To say, hey, I just want to repeat this to you. So what you're saying is this. And what I like is if it's an objection, something that is negative, or maybe they misunderstood something, you repeat it back. So this is what you're thinking, this is what you heard, etc. And then come back and reframe it as a positive. Try to turn it around and saying, yes, you might not like this, but that helps me show that you do like this.
Yeah.
Okay. And then what you do is you do this whole repeat, reframe, and then finally respond. This is then you take action upon it. But too often, especially salespeople, ask questions and they're like, yeah, good answer. Anyway, let me show you that. Look how bright green this car is. Right. Yeah.
And I think you mentioned something about you don't ask a question to kill time, but I think sometimes they do.
Oh my God.
I don't know. I'm going to ask your opinion on this. Do you think that is a confidence thing or lack thereof? That sometimes maybe somebody that's greener or doesn't have the skill set or the knowledge or the ability to speak to a client at a higher level.
Oh, I'm thinking it's all of those things. You're absolutely right. They feel like they have to be talking.
I'm going to interject questions because I'm nervous. I want to fill the dead airspace, and like I don't really care what your answer is. I'm just throwing it out there to occupy the time, right? So I think people do sometimes ask questions and they don't care about the answer because they just ask the question just to kill that space.
Right.
So
and I agree with what you just said. It's also they ask the question to make to build some confidence. Like, look, I really care about you. I asked you about your family. And while you're talking, I'm turning around looking on my phone or something like that.
Right.
Yeah. I'm asking the questions I'm supposed to ask you because it's in the manual, but I'm not really listening to the answers. Right. So I think that's one of the things we have to teach our people, our staff, is start by, after you ask a question, they give an answer, pause. Okay. And I'll tell you, you pause. And if you ask me a question, right, and I give you an answer and you pause, you had better know what I just said.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
Because if you pause a little bit and I go, so what did you think? And you're like, wow, I didn't hear a word this guy just said. And I think it trains us to take the time, understand, and just, even if at that point you say, can you repeat yourself? Can you just clarify that a little bit? Something like that, just to show the person you really care about what they're saying. Yeah. So I think.
Tell me more about that.
Exactly.
And we talk so much in the sales arena about building rapport, build rapport. And at the end of the day, what it's truly about is building connection.
Yes.
Right. I can't build a connection with you if I don't find anything in common. And I can't find anything in common if I don't listen to you or understand you or listen to understand. Right. So there's so much to that. And the more that I can build a connection with you and build a personal connection with you, the more I solidify our relationship and ultimately our business relationship. And you can improve retention, you improve our sales numbers, all of it. Right. Because you know that I truly care.
Yes.
So
I got you. Yeah. So I like this. So part of the reason for asking these like off the wall questions, and that wasn't really an off the wall question, it's just a superpower question. But what it does is, if people out there are saying, well, I don't know what kind of questions to ask, I don't want to become too salesy, I want to have a conversation. You just think of the question I just asked you. If you had a superpower, customer service superpower, what would it be? All right, you could have said anything, but listen, just check that out. Your answer opened up a whole different area. We talked for another 10 minutes just on listening.
Right.
And so that's what's so important. Asking these questions that unarm the person, saying, hey, just interested in your opinion on this, opens the door. You just learn how to make the connection with that. And then before you know it, I find something that we have in common.
Yeah.
We can talk about that type of thing. We can go down this other road, and it always comes back to what we're trying to accomplish. So fantastic. So Joe, you know, the important thing about this show, all right, is the reason it's called Bacon Bits is because everything bacon touches just becomes a little bit better.
Except for the dishes.
Except for the dishes. All right. That I'll go along with. All right. All right. So what we do is the show is called Bacon Bits because what we want to do is add a little bacon to our topic to hopefully improve the topic. But you know what, Joe? We're not talking about the bacon for chewing.
No?
No.
Are you talking about the bacon for doing?
You got it, Joe. All right. It's only taken you a year to get that one down. All right. Yes, the bacon for doing. So obviously we're not going to eat this bacon. We're using the letters BACON as an acronym for a loose outline for the rest of the show. So today, since we're talking about our employees, what the bacon today is going to be is this. B is build trust from the ground up. All right. A is going to be align goals for a unified vision. All right. This is really important to connect. C is communicate effectively and often with your people. O is offer autonomy to inspire ownership.
Yes.
You like that one?
Yes,
huh?
I do.
And then finally, N is nurture empathy in every interaction. All right. So, well, then we're going to have fun when we get to, offer that autonomy. But let's get into this whole thing about building trust. The first one is, so we're talking about our employees, and we have an idea. Let's say you start a business and you're a solopreneur, right? You're the only one, and it's time you hire that first employee, or you get to the point where you've got to hire a staff. You're going to hire outside salespeople, whatever it is, and you got 2 or 3 people. How do you start with this building trust? How do you get them to trust you enough, all right, as the employer? But more importantly, how do you get the customers? How do my salespeople, my customer service people, build trust that the customers feel like they can trust the business, them, etc. Because they're extensions of you.
They are.
Right. So how do you build that trust? Because you've hired people that are now representing your brand, your name. So how do you train them so that customers trust them with your brand?
I'm going to take you back probably to the second episode.
Okay.
It starts with the hiring.
Yep.
Right. We have to make sure that we are doing a very, very good job of interviewing, of screening, and making sure that the people we bring into our organization are going to fit with the culture that we want to develop and the culture we want to build. From there, it really does come down to not only training, and training is a big part, right? Processes are a big part, but it has to live, breathe, and just exist as part of your culture. It has to be the culture.
Right.
It has to become, and we'll talk about this a little later on, it has to become part of the conversation, the daily conversation you have with the team, with each other, the things that you celebrate with each other have to fit into this culture that you're trying to build. But it all goes back to that initial hiring process. We can't just bring people in because we need bodies, right?
Right.
You and I disagree on a certain part of that, but we won't talk about it. But you can't just throw people into the mix and just hope it works out, or hope that you're going to train your way out of bad habits, or whatever the case. Really, it has to be a precise screening process to make sure that anybody you bring into your team is going to fit perfectly with your culture. And if they're not, you need to make a decision on that quickly.
Oh, I agree. I agree with you 100%. That you've got to have those values, that your corporate identity. And a lot of people are like, oh, that just seems like so much more work. Is that necessary? And I coach people to say it's a shortcut, because if you take your time and say, this is the culture I want to live in, it's let's say I'm going to run my team, my leadership team as a democratically, and I'm going to have people feed in information. We're going to make a decision as a team. Or it's a hierarchy where I make the rules, everyone else has to follow them. There are different types of cultures you could set this up, but whatever it is, you set this up and you get the ball rolling. Then you say those lines in the sand, the values that you stand for. And I agree with you. You got to hire on those values. So one of the values that should be important to almost every company has got to be that, like yours was, the help first attitude, right?
Mhm.
But this customer centric attitude has got to be forefront. It's got to be part of it. And you've got to talk to your employees or the future employees at the interview. Define what customer centric means to you.
Yeah.
What does it mean? Give me an idea of a place you went to once where you felt they really put you in the center of everything. They catered to you. Or give me a position where you did that for someone else. And that's what I mean is it becomes a shortcut because now you have questions to ask them
Yeah.
that are really relevant for what they're going to do later. If you could ask them, how fast do you type? Do you know Microsoft Excel? But those are things they can learn. Their values are something that is so part of their being
Yep.
that it takes such a monumental thing for someone to change their values.
Well, and they have to align.
Yes.
Right.
Oh, completely.
And realistically, when you look at this, we look at setting up your core values and understanding what they are in training and coaching and all of that. Those core values need to align with your team and who you hire.
Yes.
They also need to align with your clients. Right.
Right.
You can't be doing business with clients that are outside of the scope of what your core values are. It's just not going to mesh. It's not going to be a good blend. Right. I'm going to steal a page out of a friend of mine, Michael Holden's book,
Okay.
who wrote The Authenticity Deficit. But that word authenticity is something
Yes.
I think you need to, that's part of your screening, is that you're going to find out those questions that fit with your core values. And if your
Right.
core values are part of your hiring process and you're hiring people based on those core values, you also have to judge the authenticity of the individual that you're interviewing.
Right. Right.
So,
yeah, I like that. It's without a doubt. I love the word authentic because it's so paramount in this.
Yeah.
A lot of times I'll talk about this whole idea that to help people remember it's values, vision, and virtue. And the idea here is you're going to create the values, which is the how. My guidelines, they're the gutters on the side of my bowling alley. Like I will not go into there. The vision is where I want to go, but virtue is saying that I'm going to be honest about my values.
Mhm.
I'm not just going to make up words that people want to hear. These are the things that are really true to me, and it's that same thing. As long as you create those and you're true to yourself, the way you're doing it, you'll hire the right people, the customers. You will not land every customer because those customers don't fit into your same value.
Correct.
All right, or values. But you'll find the right customers, and business will be that much easier. Okay, so we jumped a lot onto the values and the vision stuff, but the question really was going back to how do you build trust with your team? How do you get once you establish this, the values are set and we understand this, we promote our values, we promote our mission statement. This is who we are. This is what we stand for. This is how we do business. How do you make sure that your team lives up to that on a regular basis?
Correct. Yeah. Well, I touched on it a little bit. So for us, I think you have to make that, like I said, part of the conversation. It has to be daily.
Uh-huh.
Excuse me. So it has to be built into, even your weekly meetings, right?
Yep.
Are we celebrating the moments where we exceeded somebody's expectations? Are we looking for the things that somebody may have had a conversation with a client and they just knocked it out of the park? Do we have somebody that got a stellar Google review and just crushed it with the client and went above and beyond? Those things. Do we have consistent conversations and celebrations for those things as they happen? And I think that if that is a constant part of the conversation and a constant part of your culture and what you talk about, I think the team starts to understand, hey, this is important. It's not just about the numbers. It's not just about how many sales do we get. Are the sales important? Sure. But are we really, truly celebrating all the things that we look for in exceeding somebody's expectations? That's the conversation I'm talking about. I'm making sure that that's always front and center, that's something that we always celebrate. And maybe it's not something, if we go around in our weekly meeting, we put in there, I want to know your wow moment from last week.
Okay.
Right. And that wow moment can be something that, you did for a client that just knocked the cover off the ball, something that was above and beyond, something that really truly exceeded that client's expectations. Or maybe you went somewhere and you had a wow moment because somebody
You saw someone else, right?
knocked
Yeah.
your expectations out of the park, and it just floored you, and you were just. And if that becomes something that you talk about and you celebrate, and it's an important part of your weekly meeting, guess what? It becomes a part of the culture.
Gotcha.
Right.
Gotcha.
And we
Yes.
truly, genuinely, authentically get excited about that stuff.
Right.
So,
I love that. The other thing I want to add into this is how we building trust is you have to lead by example.
Yeah.
If I am not following those values, if I break the rules, if I change, if let's say I come into work grumpy, all right, every time I do that, that gives permission to everyone else to go, oh, I guess we can come in grumpy.
Yep.
Every day I come into work and go, oh God, I'm a little hungover from yesterday. That lets everyone know you don't really have to put in a full day. Right. And I think so we lead by example. We are going to get the employees we want by them mimicking what we do.
Yep.
And so we have to be stellar all the time. We have to teach them, hey, problems happen, awful things happen outside of work. We have to leave them outside of work. When we come in here, this is your paradise.
I was reading a book, and I can't remember the book, but it was a restaurateur, and I can't remember which one because I read too much, I guess.
Yes.
But he talked about how his leadership team, he had meetings with them, and they were not allowed to come into work with in a bad mood. You weren't allowed. If you're in leadership, it is not allowed, not permitted. No matter what happened in your day, you got into a car accident on the way in, your wife left you, whatever the case, you come in and you have energy and you're excited because just what you're saying, whatever you bring in is what everybody else feeds off of. And they see that, and that just straight down the line, it all just rolls. So you're 100% right.
And if you can't, if for whatever reason you can't, then take the day off.
Don't come in.
Right. Just don't come in.
Yep.
You've got to be, because you've got to lead by that. And everyone, listens and goes, well, everyone has a bad mood. Yeah, but this is business. This is not family time. Okay. This is business. And so that means you can't bring that bad mood into the building.
Correct.
You can't show that bad mood to your customers.
Nope.
No, and you specifically can't do that in front of your employees because they've got to say, wow, no matter what is going on in that person's life, they're always here, happy, smiling, ready to work, ready to help the customer on a regular basis.
Yes.
I want to emulate that. I want to become like that. Yeah. That's what you want.
Yep.
And if you the rule of thumb there is, if you just think about it, is your employees will mimic whatever you show them.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you show them that it's okay to be in a bad mood, you can't yell at them if they come in a bad mood.
Nope.
Right. So that's important. So this is cool. This is the building trust from the ground up. I'm going to get into this next one is align goals for a unified vision. And I think we've already touched on this. We made that be so broad. We touched on all the other subjects there, but that's all right.
Have a good night, everybody. Thanks for tuning in.
We'll talk about something else. What did you have for dinner last night? No, but I want to dive into this a little bit more about aligning goals for unified vision. And when you think about aligning the goals, is that what the company we have has a goal, an ultimate goal, right? We have a vision where we want to go. But I think sometimes we tend to forget to take a step back and say, me as maybe the owner of my business or me as a manager of a business, I have personal goals. I have goals of things I want to accomplish at this business, but I also have goals I want to accomplish in life. And our employees have lives as well.
Yeah.
And they have goals. Maybe they want to move forward. And we don't know that unless we have that communication with them. We talk to them and say, here's something that's going on. We know what the company's goals are. And then me as a leader, I'm going to be vulnerable first and say, so I'm going to tell you about some of my goals. This is what I hope to happen. This is what I hope happens with my career at this company. This is what I hope I can do for this company. Outside of this, I hope to buy a new car next year. I hope to go on a vacation to Paris, whatever it is. These are my goals. All right. And these are some of the things I'm going to be doing to reach my goals. And you talk to your employees, share some of your goals. What are some of the things you would like to do? And then to say, okay, now you share my goals. You share your goals. Now I can come back and say, I'll tell you what, let's make a commitment to each other. I will help you reach some of your goals, and I want your support so I can reach my goals. And together we can reach the company's goals. And that is real strong communication. And that's all of us aligning our goals properly to win. Okay. You're liking it. Look, I see a little tear in your eye.
No, you just cleaned it up. We're done with that section. That was exactly the words I would have used. But no, you're not wrong.
Thank you.
Nobody gives a care about
Yes.
your company goals unless they somehow, some way tie to their own.
Yes.
And if you don't understand what your team's goals are individually as
Uh-huh.
individuals, right, then you don't have the ability to tie them together, right? So, I think it also comes down to we need to sit with our teams. We need to understand our teams and as people, as individuals, right?
Right. Yeah.
We did that show on diversity, right? And everybody in your team is diverse. They're all different. They all want different things. They're all
Right.
different places in life. So you can't lump them into one category. Get with them individually, understand where they want to go in life. What do they want to be financially, personally, professionally,
Yeah.
like on different levels. And then how do we help them reach those goals
Yeah.
while also
That's the other step.
reaching
Yeah.
ours?
Right. That's
So,
the other step is when you can go to them and saying, all right, how can I help you reach your goal?
Yeah.
And when somebody goes, well, I want your job. Okay, that's cool. Do you
Yeah.
really want my job? All right, this is what you would have to do to get my job.
Yeah.
All right. And one of them might be pushing me so I get a different job, right?
correct. Yeah.
Okay, that type of thing. But it's got to be that communication. Without that, you guys are lost. And I'll never know that this person really wants my job. And if I'm not helping him
Yeah.
or her get my job, then that person's going to be feel left out.
Yeah.
Okay.
And what's the term they use now about the quiet quitting, right?
Yeah, quiet quitting. Yeah.
I think, that's part of it is that if we're not truly engaged with our team and understanding where they're at, where they want to go, I think you get more of that. And people disengage
Right.
fairly easily and don't say anything. They come in, they do their job, but they'll do just their job and
Yeah.
they'll go home and they're not going to go over and above
Right.
what they should be doing. So it hits on many, many levels to truly know your team and understand what's important to them. Because if you can help them reach those, they're going to help you reach every goal you want to reach.
Correct. So aside from quiet quitting, on the flip side is psychological safety, which is also very important because if you're not putting forth part of your culture to allow your employees to feel like it's okay for them to come and talk to you, if you feel like if they say, "Hey, I made a mistake, I tried something," or "This is what I want," if they don't feel like the door is really open.
Mhm.
Everyone says, "Oh, I have an open door policy," but they don't. Most people don't understand what that really means,
No.
right? And so you have to instill in them this psychological safety to say it's okay to come and talk to me.
Yeah.
And you, as an employee, it's okay for you to come and say, I'm having a bad day. All right. And then as a leader, I have to say, so maybe you should go home. All right. Maybe
Yeah.
you shouldn't work today. Or how do we turn this around? How do we get you to leave the stuff from life at home
Yeah.
and not bring it to the office? Because it's not going to help any of us. Right. And they have to be able to be strong enough and feel safe enough to come to their team leader, their bosses, their managers, and say, this is how I'm feeling.
It starts with something that you said earlier about being okay, being vulnerable.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
You have to open that door and that door has to open the other way first.
Yeah.
You have to be able to sit down in a meeting and be vulnerable and and be open about maybe a mistake you had or maybe a goal
Right.
you didn't hit or something that you want to reach, right? And be open and honest. And it's not going to happen overnight. You're not
No.
going to have somebody come in and just all of a sudden sit down in your office and go, "Hey, I just want to tell everything to you about
Right.
everything going." It's not going to happen. You have to build that trust
Yes.
back to the B, right? But it starts with in reverse, I think.
Right.
And you have to be a little bit vulnerable as a leader and be okay with that. To allow that door to open and keep that door open, right? There's some boundaries, sure, but
Yeah.
at the end of the day, the more that you can have those open and honest conversations with each other, I think the more engaged everybody becomes and the more tied together and the better the culture and the more that we all push each other to win.
Right. I like that. So it's the idea of going back. We can be friendly with our people, but we shouldn't be friends with our team, our employees. It's really difficult. There's a fine line between that. We should be friendly with everyone who's working for us, but to become friends, to take them into our personal life, this is the line that I think you were talking about. Like, let's not cross that line, or let's dance around that line. But you be very careful to not cross over.
You can take it too far, and then all of a sudden you're in the friend zone, and then anything goes. Now we're showing up to work late, and we're not
exactly.
We're not delivering at all, and we're just everything. Every day's a party, right?
And then and somebody else is like, "How come I'm not your friend?"
Right.
That person gets everything because you're buddies.
Yeah.
Right.
So
and
At the end of the day, we still have a job to do. So,
exactly.
yeah.
Right. And I think to go with what you're talking about being vulnerable, I think it goes back to the same thing, bringing us back to the customer experience, is to say to them, you know what? I have bad days too.
Yeah.
I face the same traffic you do. I have the same dog that's peeing on the floor that you do, right? That kind of stuff. But I have learned to leave that at home, use this place as an escape, a reason to be happy because it's a whole different world within here, right? And you tell them by being vulnerable that these things happen to me as well. I understand how they happen to you. I, as your team leader, am trying to teach you how to keep those outside of this business, because our main goal is to keep our customers happy, to make them have, to create an incredible experience for them so that they will continue to come back and they will bring friends on a regular basis. So, you know what, Joe, we're going to take a momentary break for a couple minutes to just talk a little bit about the gala that is coming up, and just give a salute to maybe a couple of the other shows on this air. So everyone, please stay tuned. We still got a lot to go on. This is part 5 of the customer experience. So please, again, stay tuned.
The Life 98.3. Life's hits from the 70s, 80s, 90s, and now.
Hey, and we are back. Thanks for staying tuned into 98.3, the FM, The Life. I forgot what the name of our station was. That's not the first time I've done that. You're listening to Bacon Bits with Master Happiness. And I'm here with my friend Joe Janicki. And this is part 5 of a 6-part series. We've been talking about the customer experience, how important it is for us to create an atmosphere for customers that they really enjoy, something so remarkable that they'll continue to talk about it and hopefully bring back friends. This is important because what too often it happens, and I see it more and more with businesses nowadays, they kind of think that customers are they're doing customers a favor by being open. And we've got to flip that around. If anything, you've got to be able to say the customers are doing us a favor by buying from us. And I think we've got to turn this around. So anyway, so far we have talked a little bit about B, our bacon for today is B, build trust from the ground up, and A is align goals for a unified vision. So we're going to jump into this next letter. Letter C is communicate effectively and often. But before we do that, Joe, I'm going to ask you another little question.
Oh, boy,
you don't
here we
mind?
go.
Yeah, you're loving this. So go ahead. You chose 54 the last time. So choose 1 to 15. Let's see. I knew you couldn't do it right anyway.
23.
Nice. All right. So we'll go with the 13. Here we go. What's the most unusual and unexpected perk you've ever seen in a loyalty program?
Oh man. Unusual and unexpected.
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
Go
Cooper's Hawk.
Ah.
Randomly, out of the blue, I'll go in to pick up my wine.
Yeah.
And they will throw in 2 bottles to eat or to drink while you're dining in.
Oh, nice.
I go in 1 month. I'm like, well, what are all these extra bottles? Oh, you get 2 while you dine in, or you get another extra one to take home on top of your 3-bottle membership. Just, it's not part of the membership.
Yeah,
it's not part of the points. They just do it randomly.
Wow.
Right?
Now everyone's going to be rushing to Cooper's Hawk for that one. Yeah.
Get yourself a membership. But that is it. Yeah. If any of my other points programs, nobody's rivaled Delta, but
Okay.
Cooper's Hawk does it right. So,
I like that. I like that a lot. I worked for a company some time ago that what we did was, you'd buy X amount and they'll give you a free prize or something like that. And so what they did was they gave you an ounce of silver. All right. Not gold.
That's
silver.
unusual.
Yeah, exactly. Completely unusual. And I remember the people want that. They're like, yeah, they'll just hang on to it and it'll go up in value.
Yeah.
Versus a television just goes down in value immediately. So I remember that one being an odd one. But that's the one that stands out. And you think about all these other incentive programs that I've seen, and none of them really pop out in my head.
No.
So what do you think about incentive programs in general, as far as both ends of it? Because I want to jump into this as far as we're talking about the customer experience.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you think incentive programs for customers improve the customer experience? What are you laughing about over there?
I know my wife is not listening to this, so
okay,
but if she was, she would probably be rolling over right now that we've been talking about this.
Okay.
Because I am a points, I probably can't
addict.
say that. Yeah, addict. Right.
Okay,
we'll go there. Right. And I am a sucker for a program that
gives you points.
Oh man.
Wow.
Yeah. To go as far as we can be on our way out to dinner.
Yes.
on our way driving.
Yeah.
And I will jump on Open Table and try to book a reservation because I get 100 points on Open Table. I've never cashed any of them in, but why give it up, right?
Got it. Nice.
I would only stay in Hilton's or Marriott's because of the rewards program. And
Sure.
I traveled for 5 years. So I was, 6 flights a week and, all over the country and like that. So they add up, and there were something I told you on the way here. If you're going to be renting cars, rent one national, because every fifth car
commercial for all these people,
you get one free rental day, and they add up quickly. So, I'm a sucker for loyalty programs.
Okay.
I have been a Cooper's Hawk Wine Club member since 2009.
Okay.
So, 09. So that's about right. But yeah, I enjoy them.
Yes, right.
If you give me an opportunity here, even what's a new place that opened up in Lake Zurich over there, the bowl, Lolo's Bowls.
Oh, Lolo. All right.
Yeah, I went in there the other day and we ordered, and they're like, "Oh, you have $5 off."
And you're like, wait, what?
Fantastic. Let's do it. Would you like to use your points? Yeah. Yes, I would.
All right. But let me ask you. So I'm going to get back to this. So I understand on certain things like hotels, airlines, rental cars, where the choice is maybe smaller. Okay. A restaurant that there's so many restaurants, especially in our area, Lake Zurich, there's so many restaurants. Is that enough of a pull to get you to go back there? Is that incentive program enough to get you to come back?
There's some ego built in for me now. For me
you.
now.
Okay.
Because I look at it and it says you've been a member since.
Okay.
Right.
Nice.
So, there's also, I think there's not only the loyalty for the points and the rewards and the way they treat you, and to be, an executive member or whatever they call it. I can't remember.
Yeah.
But there's also maybe, I think, a little bit of ego with, when I look at it and they're like member since, and I'm like, well, I can't give that up now. Like, why would I quit now that I'll miss another year?
Yeah, exactly. I hear you.
Yeah. So I think.
So for you, any loyalty program is perfect for you.
Yeah. We were in Kansas City, and there's a ice cream shop on the plaza, or not on the plaza, down by the River Market.
Okay.
And the lady asked me, she's like, "Would you like to enter your phone number for a rewards program?" And Erica looks at me and she's like, "We're never coming back here." I'm like, "I am putting my number in."
Yeah,
guess what?
Exactly.
We've been there 4 times this year.
No kidding.
So, so yes, we will be back. And yes, I'm going to keep getting my points.
I love it. While you're doing that, I was looking up my Cooper's Hawk thing. See if I could pull it up.
You remember since?
Yeah. I couldn't open it up. I forgot my password, but I think I'm a member of Cooper's Hawk longer than you.
Mine says Ambassador 2009.
Oh, 2009.
2009.
So that you thought 19. I was going to say I beat 19. I don't know about 2009.
And they also have this ticker that I look like. For me to get to elite, it's 7,000 points.
Yeah, I love the ticker.
48-41 right now. I'm thinking, how many months are left? How many meals would it take for me to get there?
Isn't it amazing?
Like there's a little bit.
So there are certain places it'll work.
There's a competitive nature to us. I think in society, like we want to win.
Yes. Yeah.
And some of these programs, the way they dial them in, I think psychologically, you don't put a ticker on an app unless you know that somebody is going to be competitive about that and try and get there.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. So going back, I like this. See the question, the random question I asked turns us into a nice conversation. But I think let's take a look at this, the reward program. All right. If you talk to your employees and say, "What do you think about a reward program? Would this work?" And employees, "Oh yeah, I think customers would love this." Start out with saying, "How about make a hidden reward program where you just smile at the customers every day. So customers that return, you greet them by name. Okay. They don't have to buy anything. They have the pleasure of knowing who you are on a regular basis.
Yeah.
I mean, you can use the idea of a reward program as an example to say, this is how we should be treating people. We shouldn't have to wait and reward them just for buying something on a regular basis. They should be rewarded every time they come in here, and they should be made to feel special. And I think that's a cool thing to do is you go back to your team and you ask them straight out, so what do you think? Should we create a reward program here? And if they're like, well, what would we do? Well, the idea is to get people to come back because they have a great experience here. Okay. So rather than giving them a free bottle of wine, how about we just give them a smile?
Yeah.
All right.
And some hotels do that really well.
Oh, yeah.
And it's built into their training and built into their process.
Right.
And, I think what do they call it? The 5-foot rule, right?
Okay.
If you're within 5 foot of somebody, you make eye contact, you smile, you say hello.
Oh, I like that. I never heard the 5-foot rule.
I think it's called 5, whatever it is.
But it makes sense.
But a lot of stuff comes out of these high-end hotel chains.
Yeah.
The way that they work in the hospitality arena. There's a lot of good stuff out of that. And a lot of it is just that,
Right.
just to acknowledge somebody. I think, and I told you the story about when I was in Menards, right?
Okay.
And I'd walk past, 5, 6, 7 people that worked there, all ignored me. Right.
Yep.
I was lost looking for, I can't remember what it was even looking for.
A 2
right.
by 4.
Yeah. We'll call it that.
All right.
Completely lost. And out of another department.
Yeah.
Some lady walks like beeline. I think she's going to go into another department and just like through my eye.
Yeah.
Walks up to me and she goes, well, I go, what do you mean? Like caught me off guard.
Yeah.
And she goes, what can't you find? What can I help you find?
Really?
Like that acknowledgement. I'm like, holy cow.
Yeah.
That was another level. Like
Right.
came up, acknowledged me. I walked past 6 people. Nobody said a word to me.
Right.
So I was looking for silicone. That's what it was.
Okay.
But took me right to it, showed me where it was and what I wanted. And we were on with our day. So I think there's something to that. And I think a lot of it comes out of hospitality originally is that, you acknowledge, you smile, you make them feel special. Like I see you.
Right.
I want you to know that you matter.
That's it.
So
that's it in a nutshell. I think that the idea of hospitality, that word there is if we view hospitality as, that's a hotel, maybe a restaurant, that type of thing. And you have to view every business with how are we hospitable? How do we show hospitality? Because every time a customer comes in and buys us, every time a customer is walking through the aisles of our store, every time they're sitting in our office, they're in our home. Okay. And how would we treat friends if they came in?
Yeah.
And you have to make them feel like they're welcome. They're friends. They're special friends that you want to cater to. And I think no matter what the business you own, if you take that view of we offer hospitality, and I think that is so very strong to be able to do.
Let me ask you a question.
Ask away.
So, and this I think sums it all up. And I was just thinking about this as you were talking. So you can literally eat every food dish anywhere, right? You can have a steak, you can have shrimp, you can have lobster, whatever you want. You can eat it anywhere.
Right.
You can make it at home. You can, get it somewhere for really inexpensive. Go to Ponderosa, whatever they have here, right? But you go to a high-end restaurant and you spend $200, $300, $400 for the exact same thing. You can walk into the grocery store, buy and make yourself.
Right.
Why?
Because you want to be served. You want to feel made to feel special.
At the end of the day, it's about the experience.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
It's the experience that makes it different. And so, I think you deliver on that, and every single time you look at like, am I providing an experience to my client that is worth them in my business not going online and buying your insurance through an online portal?
Right.
That makes it different enough for them to want to do business with me.
Correct. I like this. And you know what? You're touching on something else that I want to bring up is I grew up in the city of Chicago in a neighborhood and don't be sorry. I love Chicago. I'm a big Chicago fan, but we had a corner store, right? And it would be that same thing where my mom would say, walk to the corner store. It was about half a block away, pick up a gallon of milk and whatever. And those were the necessities, right? And the guy at the corner store, the butcher there who owned the store, his wife was then the cashier, and that was it. It was the two of them working there. And they knew each one of us. They welcomed us like, Marty, come on in. What do you need? What are you looking for?
Yeah.
Right. And it was that type of feeling of I could walk to the next block and there was another store that would sell the same stuff. And maybe that next block had something on sale, like milk on sale, whatever. But I felt comfortable there. I felt safe there. I know that they knew me intimately. They knew who I want, what we normally bought, everything like that. There was something like that. And the reason I bring up this small store was because it gets lost how big these stores are.
Yeah.
When you go to stores like Walmart, even the Home Depot, like you mentioned, what happens is they don't do that training all the way down to the people who are front facing.
No.
Or they do a poor job of that training. And those people are like, I'm just here for the paycheck. That's all I want, right? And I'm just hopefully I can get through the day and nobody will bother me asking me where the silicone is, right? And that's what they're praying for, right? Or they'll congregate in a corner somewhere and talk and look on their phones, do whatever. It's like they don't really care. The customers are an interference, an interruption in their day.
Yep.
That's the bigger companies. So smaller companies have an advantage by really concentrating on the customer experience. If you're the owner of a store or owner of any kind of business and you have opportunity to be in front of your employees, if you're 100 employees or less, you have an opportunity to meet and talk with all those employees. Concentrate on this customer experience because that's the way of beating the big guy.
Yeah.
Because you said it exactly. I'm going to pay 10 times as much for a steak at a place because of the experience and the way they're going to treat me versus a quick place, fast food restaurant that's going to ignore me, right? So it's so important for a small business, especially when you're competing against price for larger places, then beat them on service.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's really sad when you look at that in the larger big box stores or, excuse me.
That's right.
Where the training is really put into play, it's for the higher level positions, right?
Yes.
And we really train for leadership. We train for people moving up in the world and realize they're no longer the face of your business.
Right.
The face of your business is down there on the floor. They're the ones in the trenches with the clients. And like, these are the ones that when I walk in, that's who I see. That is your business.
Right.
That's what I think of. I don't see the guys in the tower that are, making, pulling the strings and making the decisions.
Right.
I see the ones on the floor.
There you go.
So
there you go. All right. So, I'm looking at the time. We're like, got about 10 minutes left. And we've talked about C, communicate effectively and often. We've done that. And I think that's important to keep those lines of communication open both ways. But I want to get into this is the O is offer autonomy to inspire ownership. I said that and that you got such a big grin on your face.
That is delicious.
About that. I think that it's important. Autonomy, allowing some people to make some decisions on their own is really important after they've mastered your purpose.
Correct.
All right. They have to understand the systems. They have to understand what our goals are. They need to know what our mission is, what our vision, where we're trying to go. They need to be intimately involved in our values so they know how to make decisions. But then you're right. Allow your employees to make some mistakes. That's how they grow and evolve. It's not, I'm just coming in, checking clock, doing this. No, go ahead and do something bigger, especially if it can support your goal that we talked about. Because if I make if my employee makes a mistake and comes to me, I go, oh my God, why did you do that? And they came to me and they said, well, remember we talked about goals and I told you what my goal was. So I thought this would help me get towards my goal. Not to mention it is in line with our business's values and fits our culture. I'm going to go, wow, you're absolutely right. I understand now how you made that decision.
Yeah.
But let's tweak that and make it a little bit different.
Yeah.
All right. I'm not going to go, I can't believe you made that mistake. What would you, you've got to give them that freedom.
You got to take it one step further. And I love mistakes. I think they're fantastic.
Yeah.
I encourage mistakes.
Okay.
But I encourage them in the fact that if you make the mistake, guess what you got to do?
You got to learn from it.
Fix it.
Yes. Oh, I like that even better. Yeah. Fix your own mistake.
You made a mistake, fix a mistake. No problem. That's a huge learning opportunity.
Yes. Yes.
I think that we grow fast that way, right?
Yes.
You learn by experience and running into things, and maybe a few of those are brick walls, and that's okay. That's fantastic.
Right.
So you made it. Let's go fix it.
Yeah.
And I'll help you if you need help. And I'll also get behind anybody on my team and I'll take the bullet.
There you
go. I have no problem telling a client that, I made a mistake. I messed up.
Right.
And I think what happens by seeing that, again, learning by example,
yeah.
I start to hear my team call people and you know what? Hey, I had you on my list to call back. I got busy, got sidetracked. I didn't do it. I apologize. I dropped the ball.
Right.
Right. Because I know that's okay.
Right.
Just be human.
You've learned, right.
Be
and
human.
You learned you're not going to jump down their throat for a little mistake.
So they have that autonomy. And I think they have to be, again, back to leading by example. They have to see you do it to understand that it is okay for them to do it as well.
Right.
But I and my team will tell you, I absolutely love mistakes. I think they're fantastic.
Yeah.
I think they're great learning experiences. They can all be fixed, right? Nothing is life or death.
Right.
You can literally fix any problem you've got. And it just makes you a better human and a better professional for doing it. When it comes to autonomy, I have friends of mine that are also in the same industry, and I've seen some things along the way that they empower their team to do certain things.
Yeah.
I know Nordstrom's has that great policy to put the client's interests ahead of the company's.
Right.
But I've seen people that I have a buddy of mine, he's up in Michigan, that gave everybody one of the corporate credit cards and allows them to, buy things for clients, little gifts, whatever, just to say thank you, or do something special, send a card, send a basket, whatever the case, right?
Yeah.
Or allow them to fix problems. And maybe money is the problem. Is maybe say everybody has a budget up to X amount of dollars for something that comes up, right?
Okay.
So I've seen some really cool stuff throughout that, but again, I think just having the autonomy to be able to make mistakes, fix mistakes, and grow from them.
I think, it's the same with me, Joe, is I worked for a company that they were out of state, and I'd visit my employees once a month. And I used to come to them on a regular basis, and I would do this. I would just ask them straight out, how many mistakes did you make since I've been gone?
Yeah.
And if they said none, I'd be like, you're not trying hard enough.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Because we're all human. We're going to make mistakes.
Yeah.
Right. And it goes without saying,
Yeah.
but it's really important to give them that autonomy, that freedom, which ties back to what we talked about, was the psychological safety to say it's going to be okay if you make a mistake, as long as you're going to learn from it. And I like how you said, and you're going to fix it.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a caveat here. The caveat is, the caveat is that this is where the coaching and leadership comes into play, is that if you're seeing that same mistake happening over and over and over again,
definitely
you have an issue you need to fix and get in front
exactly.
of it. But, you got to kind of monitor it, but at the end of the day, let your people grow.
That's it. And that's the only way that you're going to move forward.
Yeah.
It's especially as a team leader. Let's not even say that's the entire company. It's my team. I can't grow unless I help my people grow. I can't move to something else unless I can find a replacement for me.
Correct.
Right.
Yep.
So I need to be able to do that. And too often what you see are people who are petrified of sharing or petrified of helping their team grow because they're afraid they're going to be replaced.
Yeah.
Instead, no, that should be one of your personal goals. I want a replacement so I can replace the guy ahead of me and keep moving forward. Right.
That's it.
That's it completely. So as we're getting close to the end here, we talked about offer that autonomy, which I think is important. Did you ever hear about the map of motivation? It's the letters MAP. Okay, which means that at any point in time, the way that you motivate employees is first through mastery, because people love learning new things, right? So you get them, you teach them new things, and they're learning and they're getting really good at it. That's the mastery. Then the next step is, once they've mastered their craft and they're really good at it, you then introduce autonomy, where you say, now I want you to take what we're doing, see if you can improve it, put a twist on it, put yourself into it, right? And then they start doing it, and they start doing it their own way, but you got to keep checking to make sure they're following the guidelines, right? And then sometimes people get bored of that as well. They're like, it's still the same old thing. So then you go to the P, which is purpose. And you say, have you found a purpose? What's your driving force? Why do you still do this? Why do you work at this place? Do you believe in this? Like your people sell insurance. They have to be reminded every once in a while, they're really giving people peace of mind. And that's a great thing to be able to offer people. All right. And so there's this constant going back and forth of going, master how to sell the policies, master what the policies mean. All right. Feel really comfortable with it. Then have some autonomy to sell it in the way I want to sell it, following the guidelines. And then occasionally be reminded of how good I'm working. And everyone's motivation always falls into one of those three areas. And so when you see somebody in your team who's lacking a little motivation, you find out where they're at or where they need to be, and then push them in that. Some people are like, yeah, I know I'm doing good work and everyone's happy here, and you let me free here, but I haven't learned anything new in a while. It's time to go back to mastery and learn something new. And you always help them, like you said, help them to grow and evolve and to become something better. Okay. So with this, the last kind of part here is N, which is nurture empathy in every interaction. And I think we kind of talked with this, but it's this idea of getting the employees to open up their ears again and really listen. And empathy is such a strong word. It's if authenticity is like one of the calling terms for customer experience, empathy is right up there with it. That you have to put yourself in the shoes of your employee or your customers and teach them to nurture those relationships. I understand what you're going through. Let's see how we can fix this and really understand. This goes all the way back to listening.
Yeah.
Okay.
We look at it and we coach on it with always getting on the side with the client, right?
Yes.
I don't necessarily have to agree with everything a client says, but I'm going to get on your side first. I'm going to take your arm and then we're going to walk through it together.
Yeah.
And I use that analogy, like bad things happen in our industry all the time.
Yep.
Right. It's everything from rate increases to house fire to a bad accident, whatever the case. They happen all the time. And sometimes we get people, and we can diffuse situations this way too. A customer can call up and be, downright angry or whatever the case may be. And the first thing I have to do is understand.
Right.
And
right.
agree. Like I understand, I agree you're upset. I understand you're upset. Rate increases, right? I completely understand. The market has been absolutely crazy. These rates have been going up, but I have to get on your side first. I'm not going to talk above you from across the table. The first thing I'm going to do is stand next to you. I'm going to take your arm and we're going to walk through it together.
I like it. I like that a lot.
That's how we find that, and we coach on that for the empathy piece.
And I think there's no other way around it. You have to put yourself in their position. Yeah. And I like how you said, "I'll take your arm. I'm gonna go through this with you." Yeah. I see what you're going through, and I see I see what you're saying, and I hear what you're saying here. And you got to do that long before you can start answering the question. And this goes right to the very beginning about listening, teaching our people to open their ears and really listen to what's going on, taking a break, stop for a second, comprehending what our customers are saying, and then putting ourselves, empathizing with them and coming back with an authentic answer. Okay. And you combine that, but the only way to train all of our people on that is that constant communication.
Yep.
And it's got to be real, authentic communication, right? Where we talk about those goals. It's all of this, all of these things we just talked about today's bacon, they all combine, they all rely on each other in order to be successful. And companies, especially small companies with, like I said, 100 employees or less than 100 employees, 5 employees, if you are not truly communicating with your employees on a regular basis on these points, making that, remember, they're the face of your brand, your company. You're not doing this on a regular basis. You're doing yourself an injustice, as well as you're not truly servicing your customers.
Yep.
So, Joe, any final words you have for the world?
No, I think we covered it. Again, just as you touched on that at the end, you have to make it part of the conversation. It has to be part of your culture. It has to be something you discuss and talk about every single day. Do that, make it a part of who you are, who you hire, how you train. It is and should always be just part of your business.
I love it. I couldn't agree with you more. Thank you all so very much for tuning in to Bacon Bits with Master Happiness. I'm your host, Marty Jalove. And of course, I want to give a big shout out to my guest here, Joe Janicki. You can shout out.
Thanks, Marty.
Thanks
for having me.
You got it. So stay tuned. Next week, we're going to go back old school, and we're going to talk about the necessity of boredom with my old sidekick, Tiffany's coming in.
Oh, can I come?
Oh, of course you can, Joe.
Sounds like a great show.
That's right. That'll be fun. We're going to kind of step away from business for one show and just talk about the necessity of boredom. Sometimes we're always running so fast that we forget to just slow down every once in a while. So again, if you missed any of today's episode, tune in later in the week when the recording is up. I'll try to get it up in the next day or so to Bacon Bits with Master Happiness, anywhere you listen to podcasts. Thank you so very much.